Hi guys. Thank you for joining me on day 42 of Omer Grow. Um, uh, so first, as always, is thank you for doing this. Today we're going to be exploring foundation, specifically the foundation of food. Why I brought and you two on is because you two have a background in farming, Jewish food, and stuff like that. So I thought I would bring Michael and Joe both on to kind of explore this and concept a foundation and with me today for our Omer video. Something that I kind of have seen is that people often just buy food off the shelf and they really don't think about where it came from in the process it took to get there. The first thing I want to ask and you, Joe, I want to start with you is what's your experience with farming and food? Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us, Seth. I love your videos, love doing this. So I think my foundation for doing this or for farming and food really came out of sort of a desire to learn a lot more about where food actually comes from and really how the earth works. I was never much of a science kid when I was younger in school and stuff. And I realized that there was, so much that I didn't understand about how the earth worked and how, plants actually grew and how they received energy and gave energy and all of these things that are really so important and so integral to the food that we eat and just the fabric of the earth being held together. And when I graduated college, I wasn't really sure exactly what I was doing. And so I kind of wanted to discover that a little bit more and find out about it. And the first farm I ever went to was a Jewish farm in Connecticut. It was at the Isabella Freedman Retreat Center. And so having all those things together, that was really what created a strong foundation for me to really be able to understand what working the land meant and how it related both biblically and currently to our current environmental crisis and food justice and things like that. And all of that together really struck me really, really strongly and was really important to me. And so now, a couple years later, that is where I still am on the land.
Very cool. So, Michael, I'm in similar question. And what is your background? I'm in food and farming and stuff like that. In general concept.
Yeah. Thanks again for having me. It's always a pleasure to chat. And also, having grown up at TCS, it's been great getting to watch all of the Omer Grow videos and now to be part of one. I think for me, it comes from a few different places in terms of background, kind of also similarly, shortly after college, I ended up spending about 2 years working on a series of different, small farms and family farms in different places, and then spent a number of years working in Jewish outdoor food and environmental education at the JCC in Louisville, Kentucky. I think part of the motivation comes from a sense that I've always had that nature and the outdoors are sources of wonder and things that have always just made me happy. The idea of being able to put my hands in the earth and to sow seeds and watch things grow has always been incredibly fun for me, even when it's challenging or, difficult or testing my patience. And I think there's also been a lot of ways in which the things that I've enjoyed about food and the outdoors have very much intersected with the things I care about in Judaism. I grew up with Shabbat meals. I grew up going to Jewish summer camp where we would run around outside all the time. And the opportunity to put some of those different things in conversation with each other has always been something that I've found really compelling.
Awesome. Thank you for that. The concept of in Yesod, which translates to foundation, has kind of been my topic for in the week. And you both kind of spoke on your personal foundations with farming, Jewish food, and stuff like that. But kind of taking a 101 approach. What is the foundational process of getting food? Just like very broadly, just like something that a lot of people don't often think about.
Do you want to, Michael, like go back and forth with every step of the process?
As in?
So I'll say, so first you need to take whatever you want to grow, you need to take a seed. Then
you put that seed in the earth and make sure to give it a good start with some water and maybe some nutrients and ideally a song.
And then once that seed has started to sprout up and you start to see a little plant coming out of the dirt, you can take that little seedling, put it into a slightly larger pot with a little bit more dirt, and give it a little bit of room to keep growing with that water and sunlight and more song.
As they grow, you can think about planning how it's going to interact with everything around it. And so that might mean figuring out how you want to grow different vegetables or other plants near each other that might be beneficial to one another by kind of playing off of the different nutrients that they're going to pull out of the soil versus put back in. But you can also kind of make sure that it's not competing with too many weeds by making sure that you keep your beds clean.
Then once you have your bed that you're going to plant it in all ready, and the seedling itself has now grown to a little bit of a bigger size and is starting to look pretty healthy and is starting to outgrow its little pot that it's been in, you can take it out of the pot, you can dig a little hole in your bed, transplant it into that bed, cover it up, and then keep just monitoring it, giving it water, making sure it's getting just enough sun. You pull all the weeds around it to make sure that it has space to grow its roots out. And then you just let it get as big as you want it to get.
Most plants take between 1 and 4 months to get from that seed or seedling stage to the point where you're going to be seeing edible produce. It depends on the vegetable, but patience is definitely part of the process. And, as Joe said, kind of taking care of it consistently becomes this labor of love. And then when you get to the point where it's ready to go and you're pulling your first tomatoes or you're picking the first cucumber or squash, it's this incredible moment of fulfillment for something that you've been working toward for a long time.
And then you eat it.
And it's better than anything you've ever tasted in a grocery store.
Thank you for that, because I think often we take for granted the time in the process, and so what's a piece of advice and you would give to your average Joe, quote unquote, to kind of take a look, in themselves and kind of, appreciate more and where their food comes from.
Do you want to go first?
Go for it. I would just say that every Joe is special. There's no such thing as an average Joe.
Well, as Joes come, I'm like pretty in the whatever. I would say for someone who's maybe interested in it, but maybe a little, not so sure about it, or a little nervous, or it doesn't really know where to start. I think the easiest thing is to buy your produce as locally as you can. More and more large-scale supermarkets are doing a better job overall of starting to get more local produce, but maybe once a month, every now and then, go to your local food co-op, go to a farmer's market, and really ask farmers questions. There's nothing that farmers love more than to just stand for hours and talk about everything that they've grown and how they did it and what they used, and every single little minute detail that you're just going to have to nod your head and pretend you understand. Really just do, buy a vegetable you've never heard of before, buy a vegetable that you think you don't like, but haven't really had a real full experience with. Just do all that. And I think soon enough, you'll be pulling out that thread and you'll be itching to get into the dirt yourself.
Yeah. I for sure second the notion that your local farmers and your farmers markets are great ways to learn more about what's going on. I grew up going to the Weston Farmers Market almost every weekend. The Westport Farmers Market is now doing contact-free pickups where we can still support our local farms, who are definitely feeling a pinch right now as we head into a growing season with a lot of uncertainty. And I would also say that there's so many different ways that you can start small scale for folks who are trying to dip their feet in the water. If you are someone who wants to grow a few herbs on a windowsill, a lot of those plants are super resilient and will grow very quickly and very easily. And, you can kind of start small, but, the moment where you feel ready to take that leap and, start doing something in your own yard is such an exciting and rewarding moment. But yeah, kind of base it on what you like to eat, what your family members like to eat, and have fun. There are so many different kinds of vegetables you can grow, not just in terms of I could grow eggplants or I could grow tomatoes or I could grow peas, but also, you can grow, striped eggplant and yellow and black and purple tomatoes and, squash that come in every shape imaginable. And one of the things that has been a lot of fun for me and for folks who I've talked to is, playing with colors and patterns and really letting that be one of the things that becomes part of the fun when you're doing this.
That is a perfect that is a perfect segue to my final question, and I'll preface it with a quick story. So my TCS in the playground, we actually have a mini garden, and we grow tomatoes and some different herbs, stuff like that. But my personal favorite is that we grow lemon and cucumbers. So it's a cucumber that is yellowish white, and so we picked one day before in religious school, and I brought it up and cut it up for some of the kids, and they were hesitant because they were like, "What is this? It's weird." I said, "Try it," and they tried it, and they loved it. What is the most kind of interesting food and you've grown, and is there any story connected to like serving it to people for in the first time and stuff like that?
The one thing that comes to mind for me was one year I grew a kind of watermelon called Moon and Stars. And the reason it's called Moon and Stars is because the rind is this really, really dark green, and it has all of these yellow splotches on it. And the spot where it grows on the ground, you have a big one that's, you know, maybe the size of your palm or so. But other than that, they're just little pinpoints. And so when you pick it up, it looks like the night sky. And it was unlike anything I'd ever seen in a grocery store. It tasted wonderful, but for me, it's one of those moments where I was able to see, you know, I have so many assumptions about what normal food, quote unquote, looks like, and the ability to grow something that is a watermelon that looks completely different, and to then be able to share that with other people who had also never seen it was really, really special.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna, I think, sort of piggyback on the sentiment of what you said there, Michael, and say that I think for me, it was, you know, a few of the first farms that I was on that were growing different varieties of things. The silly thing, like almost, I think, to say, I didn't really realize before really getting into it that like how beautiful vegetables were, or like how just like aesthetically pleasing, right, they could look. So Michael, just like your watermelon there, I'm reminded of two different things. Is it okay if I do? I'm reminded of two different things that sort of both like kind of stopped me in my tracks the first time that I saw them. And one was a watermelon radish, which does not taste like watermelon, but is a radish that is white on the outside. And then when you cut into it, has big, dark, like green and pink rings inside of it. That looks like a watermelon. It tastes like a radish, but it is just, it was unbelievable. It looked almost like tie-dyed. And that was really special for me. And I saw that with a lot of people who had also not had that before. And we were all just kind of like, took a step back. And the other thing I would say, which is something that I actually haven't grown at a farm in a long time, and I miss so much. And that's a vegetable called Romanesco. Romanesco it's very closely related to cauliflower and broccoli. It tastes a lot like cauliflower, but it looks unlike anything I had ever seen before. It has all these tiny little like fractals kind of going up on it, and it looks almost like I don't know how to describe it. The only way I can describe it right now is it's a vegetable that looks almost like soft serve ice cream, but like done like through like a computer. I don't know. That's like, it just looks totally unlike anything I'd ever seen before. I almost didn't want to eat it because I was just like, this is too beautiful, too pure, but it also tastes delicious. So if you're watching this, Google Romanesco and find it and eat it, because that was something that was a total game changer for me in terms of like just how I thought about what food and produce and vegetables could be and look like.
Awesome. Well, again, and thank you both for the time and for everything you do. I appreciate it. And keep a lookout for the upcoming Omar Grow videos.
Can't wait. Thanks for having us, buddy.
Thanks, Seth.